Hi, and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast. Now, before I jump into today's episode, which is all about values-based goals, so how to make sure that you are setting goals that are going to keep you motivated, I have one favour to ask you. I love doing this podcast. I love bringing you free content. I love bringing you great guests. And one of the things that helps me to make sure that I can continue doing that, and also to find guests that are really amazing, is by growing the podcast. Now, I recently hit 3,500 downloads, which I'm blown away by, and I would love to get that to 4,000. So if you haven't subscribe to the podcast, if you haven't liked it, if you haven't rated and reviewed it, please go and do that. It really helps, more than you know. And if you think that one of these episodes is something that a friend of yours or a family member would find really useful, please do share it with them. I really want to get to those 4,000 downloads, and I really want to continue to bring you awesome content. So thank you very much. Okay, so this week's episode then, we are going to be talking about values-based goals. Okay, what do I mean by that? What I mean by that is how we get to the situation where you are making choices which really align with your goals. So making choices that are really easy to you. Okay, so for example, one of the things that come up so often with the women that I coach is, I'm really good Monday to Friday, and then someone offers me a glass of wine on Friday evening and I just can't say no. Or my friends invite me out and I know I should be drinking, I should be driving rather than drinking, but I just can't say no. Now look, I've picked really basic examples there, and you should know by now, if you've been listening to me for a while, that I don't recommend that you cut out everything. Okay, and I've used an alcohol example here because it is something that comes up really regularly with clients and the women that I speak to. But we all know that in order to achieve your fat loss goals, your health, your fitness goals, being able to compromise when it comes to things like alcohol or going out at the weekend, going out for dinner, 5 nights a week, is really important if you want to achieve fat loss or just be healthier. Then spending Friday night, Saturday night and all day Sunday drinking is not going to help you get there. So that's why I've used that as an example. So what I'm going to talk to you about today is how to make sure that the goals that you're setting are goals that are going to help that make those decisions really easy for you. Okay, and that's by setting values-based goals. Okay, so when women come to work with me, one of the things that I'm really clear about is that they don't set an event-based goal. What do I mean by that? They don't say, I've got a wedding in 3 months that I want to attend and I want to wear a certain dress and look amazing, or it's my 40th, 50th birthday coming up and I want to feel and look my best for the party that I plan to have. I'm going on holiday in 4 months' time and I want to feel amazing for that holiday. Listen, all of those things are really valid. I remember when I was turning 40, which happened to be in the first lockdown, I wanted to feel and look my best for my 40th. I ended up cancelling my party because we couldn't go anywhere. But, I really wanted to go into my 40s feeling my best. I get that. I get if, particularly if you're going to the wedding of a family member or you're a bridesmaid or something and you want to feel amazing in a dress, particularly if it's a dress that Bridezilla's picked and you don't want it, which is actually currently happening with one of my clients. If you don't like the dress, you want to feel the best you possibly can because it's not your choice, right? It's fine to have these goals, but I've said this before and I'll say it again. you're going to go to that wedding anyway. Whether you've lost a stone, 2 stone, or whatever it is you want to lose, you're going to turn 40, 45, 50, whatever age it is that you want to get to and you want to feel amazing for. You're going to feel that way anyway. You're going to go and have your party or have your celebration. It's going to be your birthday anyway. You're going to go on the holiday anyway if it's booked. So having those event-based goals, they're not that helpful, because you're going to go to the event, you're going to do the thing anyway, and you'll probably have a nice time whether you fit in size X dress or size Z dress. It doesn't matter. So I really discourage people from setting these event-based goals, and I say that they can have them in mind for sure, but often they're not the goals that are going to help you the most. So what we want to have a goal that isn't aligned with being a certain size at a certain time. We want goals that have real purpose and meaning to you and your life and are really going to make a difference outside of a 1-day event or even a 10-day holiday. Okay, and that means setting goals that are aligned to your values, which always will make taking that action so much easier. Okay, and the first place that we have to start with this is that values work. None of this is any use if we haven't done work on what our values are. So let's start with answering the question of, what do I mean by values? I'm sure you've done some work around this already, but let's summarize. Your values are what are important to you at a really, really deep level, okay? And so understanding your values is really about understanding yourself, because your values drive your action and behaviours. So if you're doing something that isn't aligned with your values, then it won't feel comfortable and actually could quite often make you feel quite resentful. So I'm going to give you some examples here. If I think about my previous corporate life before I was running the Mum Boss Method, often needing to work late at night really cut across my values, because I had a young son, I had a husband, we had a home life, and really it came down to, I also wasn't paid for that extra work. I wasn't paid overtime, and some of the closest values to me, whilst yes, hard work is a value, but family is a value as well, and fairness is a value. And so constantly, and it wasn't even just 1 or 2 times, which I could cope with, constantly working these really, really long days and long evenings cut across my values, and I became really resentful. So what I want you to think about is, what are your values? What is absolutely, hugely important to you? It's really easy for us to say things like honesty. Honesty is really important to me. Family is really important to me. Trust, for example. But have you really considered what the deep down reason is? How do those values show up in your life and what you're doing daily? So, if I again go back to some of my values, love, fun, family, I've already mentioned, truth, and then one of the other ones, which is really connected to my work, is about making a difference. And, that really shows up in all of the work that I've ever done. So before the Mum Boss Method, I worked in corporate learning and development for 20 plus years of my career, helping other people to learn and make a difference in their career. Okay, so this value has always shown up in my career choices. It even showed up in my school reports and things like that, because I would always help other people at the detriment of myself. Chrissy would be great at this subject if she stopped helping everyone else do their work before she'd done her own, and that sort of thing. So this value absolutely drove my decision to leave the corporate world, okay, because I had stopped feeling like I was making a difference to people's lives. Because I would see people maybe once on a program and then never see them again in the whole of the time that, I was working there. I might meet people once. And I found it really hard to motivate myself. And that had a negative impact on both my health, physically and mentally, and then also my relationships outside and inside of work, actually. And now that then, like I say, drove me to leave the corporate world and to focus on the Mum Boss Method 100%. Now, what I do is I allow all of my goals to be set in alignment with making a difference, okay? And if we think about making a difference, I'm making a difference to my clients' lives. I'm making a difference to people's lives who aren't my clients, who might be listening to this podcast for free, consuming my other free content, be part of my free Facebook group, follow me on other social media. But also it allows me to make a difference in other areas of my life. So doing this work means I set my own schedule, so I can be here for my son when he gets home from school. When he was in his last year of primary school, I was able to pick him up every day as soon as school finished. He didn't have to go to after school club for the whole of that last year of primary school. I was able to pick him up. I'm able to sit with him and do his homework with him every evening. I'm able to take time off when I need to and not ask anyone else's approval. I'm able, it's made me a happier person. It's improved my relationship with my husband. So that making a difference covers all areas of my life. So if we think about that, then where else does it show up? Well, the actions that I take daily to care for myself so that I can better care for other people. So I always want to make a difference. So I understand that I need to get the right amount of sleep for me. So yes, sometimes I want to sit up watching another episode of, at the moment, Happy Valley. But I go to bed because I know that I need to get at least 7 hours sleep for me to not be a grumpy cow the next day. I get up and go to the gym 5 days a week because I know keeping myself fit, healthy and strong, that is the best thing I can do for my health. That is the number one thing I can do for my longevity, to be here for as long as possible for Charlie and for Tom. It drives the decisions that I make. Okay, so the first thing that you need to do is understand what your values are and set goals that align with them. And this is the first thing that I do with any client that comes to work with me in any of my programs, is they need to set goals that really align with their own values. And on my 16-week transformation program, we do a whole values exercise before they even set those goals. So let's just think about what might be the opposite of that. Okay, so a goal that only benefits me probably would not keep me motivated for that long. So for example, if I were to decide that every day at 4 o'clock I was going to go to the gym, whilst I know that the gym is really important to keep me healthy, I also know that 4 o'clock is the time that Charlie gets home from school. So whilst that only benefits me, it doesn't benefit Charlie. So that would not be something that I want to do. Okay, so that's values. Then let's understand why. Why is the goal the goal? Okay, so I always challenge my clients to think beyond events, and I started with that, like the weddings, like the birthdays, like the holidays, because as I've said, you're going to go to those events anyway. Your birthday is going to arrive, the holiday is going to arrive, the wedding is going to arrive, and you'll probably go and you'll probably have a nice time whether you got into the dress or not. But if you're setting goals that are just based on those events, they're not necessarily aligned to your values. And therefore, there's no strong emotional tie to those values. To those goals. I might say if it's your wedding, that's a little bit different. But even still, I've worked with people who have come and worked with me just based on the fact they want to look great for their wedding, and then as soon as the wedding day is done, they've gone back to the behaviours that they used to do before, and then they've put the weight back on. So it's really good, it's good practice for you to ask why. Why is something important to you? Okay, why is the goal the goal? So if I come back to my example of making a difference and my business and all of my other values, they're all tied into my business, okay? Yes, I want to make a difference to people's lives, but I'm also, let's be honest, this is a business. I charge for my services, and I use that money to pay my bills and to live my life. So that makes a difference to my family's life. In terms of my business and my other values, why are they important and how do they show up? Love. Well, I empower women to love themselves and create a life that they absolutely love. Family, I want to create a better life for my family, but I also, because I work, 95% of the women that I work with are mums, I'm helping them to create a better life for themselves and for their families. Fun. I always want to have fun in my business. My job is fun. I want my clients to have fun. Yes, there's serious aspects to it, but we need to be having fun as well. And then also truth. Linked to my business, there is so much BS out there in the diet and fitness and health industry. I'm here trying to cut through all of that. So it really helps you to understand. Knowing your why will really help you to continue doing the things that are difficult. Sometimes for me, just showing up on social media, sometimes putting a face of makeup on and doing a video or doing a story is not, particularly if I'm tired or I'm not feeling well, my whys, understanding how closely my business is linked to my whys is so important. And by the way, if you want some help with knowing what your why is and understanding it and getting to that level, check the link in the show notes, because you can download my Finding Your Why worksheet, which will really help you to understand the deeper level that you need to understand to really make your goals motivating and succeed. And you can do this with fat loss, but you can do it with anything as well. Okay, so then how does doing all of this values and why work influence your choices? Okay, now what I'm not saying is that once you understand your values, you align your goals with your values and you understand your why, that every single decision you make will be 100% easy. There will always be work to do. There will always be challenges. There will always be compromises that you need to make. But when you've set goals that align with that values, with your values, and mean something to you and have true purpose to you, it takes the decisions around that and it makes them a lot easier to make. So, for example, some of the goals that I've made around my business, around my own body, my health, my exercise, my nutrition, my family and time, I'm really clear on my why. I'm really clear in my business why I work with busy working mums, because I feel so passionately about the fact that we give ourselves a really hard time. And that's why I don't work with men, or I don't work with dads, or I don't work with just anyone. I am aligned with mums. I am a mum. I have that experience. I'm really clear on my health, exercise and nutrition goals, and that makes making the decisions that I make really easy. So for example, this weekend just gone, we had it's my parents' birthdays all within 5 days of each other. So yesterday we took them out for a roast dinner. On Saturday I had my dad and my stepmom staying with me, and we opened a bottle of Prosecco on Saturday night, and I had a glass and a half of that. And at dinner yesterday, I had about a glass and a half of red wine. Could I have drunk more? Absolutely. I really enjoy Prosecco. I really enjoy wine. And it was nice wine as well. But in alignment with my business goals, I know that if I had drunk too much Saturday and Sunday, or Saturday or Sunday, I would have been really tired today. It would have made getting everything I needed to do done today more difficult, especially actually showing up to record this podcast, because you might know I record this video wise. Hello, if you're watching on YouTube as well. So that would have made it so much harder for me to show up on the video and show up with the energy that I need to show up. But also it doesn't align with my health, my exercise and my nutrition goals. So I go to the gym first thing on a Monday morning. I'm up at 5. One of my rules is never miss a Monday unless I am traveling or I'm ill, because it sets me up for the rest of the week. And so if I'd had more than about a glass and a half of wine yesterday with dinner, there's no way I would have been getting up for the gym this morning. I'm also in a fat loss phase at the moment, so I am trying to cut a little bit of fat. I was in a muscle build phase at the end of last year, and with a muscle build phase you do tend to gain a little bit of body fat. It is natural, and I'm just trying to cut that down in time for the summer. To have drunk loads yesterday or Saturday would have meant I would have gone over my calories, and then I would have not been in a calorie deficit. And then in terms of family time and setting goals around that, I'm really clear on the fact that I need to have Tuesday nights need to remain free for me wherever possible. It's the only night of the week, Monday to Thursday, that me and my husband are both together and are both in the house for the whole evening. Outside of work and getting to the gym and things, that is our only evening. So that I'm really clear, that is a non-negotiable for me. And the same with Monday evenings, that's me and Charlie time. Monday evenings and Thursday evenings actually is me and Charlie time, because Tom's at the gym Monday and Thursday, and so I don't want Charlie to be sat downstairs having to occupy himself whilst I'm working. And the same with finishing work wherever possible at 4 p.m. so that I can spend time with him, because I am, family is one of my values, but making a difference. So it just makes that really, really easy. Okay. So, and then in terms of how all of those values and all of my goals fitting in, during the day, my biggest priority is business. Okay, so I have rules around that, like I don't set the washing machine to finish during the day, because, even though it might only take 10-15 minutes to hang up a wash load, that's 10-15 minutes away from my time. So helping those things to all fit together is really important. Okay, so in terms of how you can use this, I'm going to go back to the alcohol example, because as I've said, this is a big struggle for probably 80-90% of the women that I work with, or the women that I speak to in my community, so even if they're not clients. Now, I've used, the example of Saturday and Sunday, we had some drinks in the family, and that's not a regular occurrence for me. I'll normally have one or two, but I generally don't drink every weekend because I know the effect that it has on me, on my sleep, on my mood, on my motivation. It lasts for days. So that really helps me to guide my choices through the evening and when I'm going out. So in terms of, an example of where I might make the choice that actually I'm going to have more than two, a couple of weeks ago, we went out with my brother-in-law and his girlfriend, and I knew that we would have a couple more drinks than two. And but on a Sunday I always work, but that's okay. I helped myself by making sure that everything was set up for the Sunday. I had 5 drinks, and then I made sure I really hydrated. I made sure I had a bit of a lie-in, and then I was fine for the Sunday. But I made that choice. I made it really mindfully. So I have a client example for you. One of my clients has fat loss goals, and she also highly values friendships and community, fun, and spending time with people. And we talked the other week about she's been invited out for pizza and prosecco with some friends, and she's got this battle in her head. Is it the pizza or is it the prosecco? What's she going to have, or does she drive, or what's going to happen here? And there's no right or wrong in this situation. It's absolutely your choice, but you need to think about what the priorities are and what the consequences of your actions are. So you need to understand that having a night where it's all the pizza and all the prosecco, that might be an amazing night for your values of fun and friendship and community, but actually that's probably going to impact, or that will impact, your fat loss, in that your fat loss might be a bit slower, and that might be a compromise that you're really happy to make. If that's something you're doing, once or twice a week, every week, then you really need to think about, well, is the fat loss actually the goal? Because if the prosecco and the pizza always win, then the fat loss is going to just stop if you're always over your calories. So it's always a calculation, always a thought about what is most important, and where is the compromise. So okay, it could be that you'll have the pizza but just one glass of prosecco and you'll drive. Or this week the pizza and the prosecco win, but next week you're not going to drink at all, and actually you're going to have a salad instead of pizza. And there's another concept I want you to think about here, is not just about what tomorrow's you is going to think about today's choices, but what is the future you going to thank you for? So one of the things I try to get my clients to step away from is, thinking that this is just a week-on-week process. For a lot of them, often this is a long-term process, and for most people it's a long-term process. I don't work with quick fixes here. So what will the you of 12 months' time thank you for? What will the you of 5 years' time thank you for? What are those decisions? What are the consequences going to be long term? And that really helps you to think, well, this is one night out that I've got planned in the next 2 months. Actually, my future me probably will thank me for that, versus, well, actually I've got nights out planned for every Saturday night and half the Friday nights for the next 6 weeks. So actually my future self probably will thank me to say, I'll be the driver tonight and I'm going to go with the salmon and vegetables for dinner instead of the pizza and the dessert. So really thinking about the bigger picture and the long-term focus is really helpful. So you're not really making a decision for now or even for tomorrow, you're making a decision for the real long term. Okay, so that's everything I wanted to talk about in terms of setting values-based goals to help you with your decisions. Just to summarize, we talked about values, about what they are and really understanding them for you. We talked about understanding why the goal is the goal, and reminder, you can download my Finding Your Why worksheet from the link in the show notes. And then also understanding how your values and your goals can help you to make your decisions. I hope that you found this episode really useful. I've actually talked for a really long time. My energy seems to be quite high. For those of you not watching on YouTube, I've got a new standing desk and I've recorded my first podcast standing up, which seems to make my energy silly crazy high. So apologies if there was any rambling. Thank you for listening. Please do remember to hit subscribe, like, rate, review, and share the podcast. It really helps. Have an awesome week ahead, and I'll speak to you soon. Mwah. Bye.